link to it.
We're on Facebook. Thanks for sticking with us out there. We want to welcome you to another episode of the podcast and a special guest here this week, University of Kentucky signee. We can now say signee more just a commit. Quintin Wilson.
Thank you for having me.
Guy around here. He just signed today with Kentucky. So we're going to talk to him about that whole process, getting the recruiting process over with. A really good story that happened after the verbal commit, which happened back in May. And we'll talk about, why he chose UK, the ins and outs of the recruiting process, and also maybe some comparisons as far as what you went through in recruiting versus Mr. Adam Kieft over there went through in recruiting, as he says, was a long, long time ago.
As an old man, we see how things have changed over the. Do we care to compare it to being recruited by a Division III school?
Yeah. I mean,
I went to Thomas More.
But you got the recruiting.
You got making fun of the Chippewas, you butt.
You got the recruiting letter from Jim Tressel that you didn't keep.
Yeah, right. Well, that's because he was
He
was the Youngstown coach at the time. So
Fighting Penguins.
Yeah, so that's all right. So we're going to talk to Quintin about that, the recruiting process. We also got a lot of bowl games we're going to get into and give our predictions on. And, of course, even though the game's not for another week or so, Q's going to give his prediction on the Kentucky Northwestern game. Spoiler alert, the team in blue he's going to pick, not the Wildcats in purple. So we have that, and then we also have, of course, and we moved this around in the rundown for a special request for Q because he loves the officers segment.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Q loves that, so we made sure to get that in there. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the news out of Cincinnati that Marvin Lewis likely is gone as head coach finally. So we have that. We'll talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh-New England game and the ending to that one. And we'll also have, at the end of the show, Mr. Adam Kieft with his Fumblegate Fatty Kicker of the Week.
Kickers.
See, you get it. He's beat that into your head, hasn't he? Or is that just you developed that on your own?
We still like our kicker.
Yeah, Harry's our kicker. But
Harry's still the guy.
But doesn't he play defense too?
He did.
Did he say like a safety or something like that? Didn't you say?
He also just passed 100 wins in wrestling.
Yeah.
School record.
Oh, there you go. He's not a kicker. He's a wrestler.
He's an athlete.
And
athlete. There you go.
We'll also mention at some point a kid that is signed with Kentucky as a kicker, who has the most apropos kicker name, which was an early Christmas.
So excited.
A Christmas present for Adam Kieft. So we're going to get into all that as the Fumblegate podcast begins right now. Welcome to the Fumblegate podcast. This is episode 20. Milestone here, gentlemen. So let's go through all the social media stuff. Follow us on the Twitter at Fumblegate. Follow us on Facebook at Fumblegate. Hashtag Fumblegate. Fumblegate podcast at gmail.com. Officer, you're with us today. Your Twitter, please.
FGP Cop.
Mr. Adam Kieft.
Fumblegate Fatty.
And a very special guest is joining us this week. University of Kentucky football signee Quintin Wilson joining the show here
Just
today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate that. You're on the Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? Give us your Twitter handle. You got a lot of followers already.
Q_Will42.
Okay, so give Quintin a follow.
Hey, did you share this on Facebook?
I'm gonna retweet it when I get done with this.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay, there we go. So
There we go.
I'm trying to help out.
So that's
Right, we appreciate it.
yeah, we do appreciate that since you've got a lot of BBN of BBN followers out there, and we know they'll be curious to hear your thoughts. So, first team All-State in the state of Ohio, first team All-Academic. Your GPA is like 47, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay. So
higher than mine ever was.
Well,
Higher than most.
well, we'll move on. So
It's higher than yours too, Griefer.
it is. Yeah, that's true. We don't worry about that.
Stop making fun like I'm the only guy in here with the worst GPA than he did.
Well, I mean, a MAC education. I have an SEC education.
I like his better.
I don't even use my degree. What does it matter? Degrees are overrated.
You've got a degree. You've got me beat.
Yeah, see?
Yeah,
We're all just one-upping each other around here.
All right.
So, Q, we appreciate you coming on here. Obviously, a huge day for you today, being actually to put your signature on the papers to actually sign with Kentucky. Are you happy this process is over with, I would imagine?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely – it still hasn't really hit me, but I'm glad it's over with. I'm glad to finally be done with the whole thing and really just get into being able to learn and be a part of the whole thing.
You had a chance to, obviously, this whole recruiting process. Was it a Vince Marrow that basically handled your recruitment for the most part, or was it a mix of coaches?
Actually, my main recruiter was Coach Klingsdale, the DB's coach. My coach at Walnut had a relationship with him previously.
Oh, okay.
So when he came up to visit him, they started talking about me, and I just kept talking to him the whole time.
Okay, so you go through that. You gave your verbal to Kentucky back in May, and it was a final choice between them. And I understand Duke and Boston College was your other three. What was the difference at Kentucky that put them over the top? You know,
the coaching staff they're just so friendly. They're such a great group of guys, and you just really like to be around them. And they know their football, and it's, you know, the distance was kind of a factor, but I definitely enjoyed being around the people, and it was such a great environment. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
That's one thing that's really cool, and I tell kids when they go through this process. And obviously, Q and I's relationship started after he had already committed, so I didn't have any input on his decision making. But one thing I always tell kids is go where you're comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you don't want to be uncomfortable for 4 to 5 years of your life for the sake of playing football.
Would you have tried to make sure he was comfortable in Chippewa?
If he wanted to go to Mount Pleasant, it might have been a little awkward for him up there. It's a little chillier there than it is here. But, you know, if it's someplace that you don't feel comfortable, if you feel out of place and you don't feel like that you get along with the people that are there, the coaching staff or otherwise, that's something that you really need to take into consideration. A lot of times kids, you know, even kids that I know, they'll go and they'll come home from school and they're like, man, I hate it. And it's like that's one of the things you have to consider. You have to enjoy your time while you're there. And if you don't enjoy that, then what's the point in doing it?
Going through your recruiting process, how far back does that date for you? Like, when did you start even first getting letters from colleges expressing interest in you?
I went to a couple camps this summer or spring of my junior year just to start getting my name out there. It really wasn't like, it was kind of a thing that you were reaching for, but in the back of my head, I didn't really realize that I had the potential in me yet. And it didn't really start the big kickoff in recruiting until after my junior season. And it was just, I didn't really realize that I had the potential to even play college football until I got my first offer. It was UC. They came into school and they told me I had an offer, and I go into the next room and I'm just shocked and kind of blown away. I didn't really know what to expect from there, and just kind of blew up from there.
So how many schools, a rough guesstimate, how many schools did you hear from throughout the entire process?
I heard from a lot of schools. I got offers from about 20, but you hear from everyone from West Coast to down south to North, Ivy League to SEC. You hear from them all.
Okay. Are they just blowing your phone up constantly, or? There
were nights where you take 5 or 6 phone calls in a row, and a lot of them are the same questions, and you just kind of get tired of it. But it was definitely a process. It was definitely interesting to be a part of, but I really enjoyed being a part of it at the same time.
So how much, because when I went through this process, social media wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. So how much now were you reached out to on social media, maybe both by fans and by coaches? Like, how many of them would contact you like via Twitter and get a hold of you that way? Because I know there's different rules with how they can contact you. They can't always call you, but they can contact you on social media and stuff, especially if you reach out to them first. So how much of that did you go through as opposed to just straight phone calls? The
majority of it is through Twitter. You get the DMs and all the little Twitter messages, and you get phone calls here and there, but it's mostly Twitter. And all the early stuff is definitely through Twitter. You hear from them first, and you don't really get into the whole phone call thing until like they're really interested in you and you're really interested in them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's another tool for schools to reach out to the kids, and it's a little less formal because that's what kids are used to nowadays. They're used to social media stuff. So it's like I said, when I was going through that social media wasn't even a thing. Facebook wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even MySpace yet.
Yeah, it wasn't even MySpace. I wasn't even friends with Tom yet. You know? So it's kind of neat to see now that kids can just DM with coaches on Twitter to kind of get their name out there, and also coaches get their school out there to the kids.
So with that expanding the use of social media into contacting you, what kinds of things are these schools trying to say to you at that point early on in the process? Are they just saying, hey, we saw some tape in you, we're interested, can we talk to you at some point further? And what's kind of the early pitch with these?
A lot of it, it's been a while, so I didn't pay too much attention to, but a lot of his early stuff just kind of getting your information, see if you're interested back. A lot of them try and get you to go to their camps during the summer. that's when they really see, if you go to their camp and they really like you, that's when they really try and get in contact with you and spend their efforts and energies trying to really recruit you.
So when you start narrowing the process down, like when you get into the visits or the in-home visits, if coaches, assistant coaches, did Coach Stoops ever come to? Did Coach Stoops come to your home?
He's coming late. He's coming in January.
Okay, so you've obviously talked to. I'm sure you've talked to him, also the other assistants. As you get into this process before you committed, what types of things are coaches like at Kentucky telling you to try to get you to come there? Maybe against a school like Duke or Boston College or the University of Cincinnati. How does each school approach the recruiting process with you?
I think some schools try and not really talk bad about other schools, but they try and talk up their name. And I think the great thing about UK is they never really worried about other people. They really just focused on themselves and how they would be a great fit for me and how they tried to kind of persuade me to go there. And once I started falling in love with UK, it was kind of easy for them to kind of keep me talking and keep me wanting to talk about how I wanted to go there.
So did you grow up a UK fan or?
No, I mean, usually when you think of UK, you think of UK basketball. And,
sure.
And you just kind of sit there and you just kind of look and you're like, it's UK basketball. They're always going to be good. They're always going to have a bunch of freshmen. And they're all going to go to the NBA and they're just going to do it again. And, I'm a UC basketball fan. So you kind of despise it a little bit and kind of like, oh my God.
Envy?
Yeah, you're like,
a little bit of that?
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, it's probably what it is for some people.
It is for a lot of schools. I mean, schools in general, not even just fans in this area.
Yeah.
That's
so,
schools
but
around the country.
But you looked at it initially as a basketball school.
Mm-hmm.
And
then once I go there and start seeing all the football stuff going on, you're like, it really opens your eyes and you're like, wow, they're really doing something special. And it was something that I just couldn't really stay away from. My first time down there, I was blown away because, you go to these MAC schools. No offense.
No, that's cool. I'm sure.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Myself and the officer take no offense. Offend him all you want.
Yeah, it's okay.
Go ahead.
And you see that, they just don't have the money as some of these SEC schools. And it's mind blowing to see the difference. I mean, I went to Miami, Ohio. Their facilities are great. They're brand new and they're huge. And then you go down to UK and it's just as huge, even bigger. And the vibe down there is great. All the people down there, you just love it. Everyone's so nice, and it's great to be around everyone down there.
You get that Southern hospitality down there.
Yeah, about as close as we can get to Southern hospitality.
So you've obviously going through this process now, and the commitment back in May, the signing today. You've obviously gotten a very good glimpse at how rabid the Big Blue Nation can be.
Oh yeah.
In both, obviously basketball, but you say that you're starting to see that in football as well. Can you think of an instance where you realize, maybe it was the point that hit you that realized, okay, maybe I didn't realize how serious they were about football down here? Maybe, what was that moment like for you that it hit you that all of a sudden, not necessarily the university, but the fan base is as passionate about football?
It was once I put my commitment out there on Twitter, and you just see the numbers start racking up, the retweets, the likes, the comments, and everyone's so in love with UK. And, I was in love with UK at that point, and to see that all the fans were just as much in love, if not more, than I was, it was really great to see. It was almost mind-blowing to see how many people really loved the school.
Again, it kind of goes back to the social media thing. Like, that's something that I never experienced. That's pretty cool because, like you said, BBN's huge.
Yes.
As much as
they're everywhere.
As much as it irritates me because I'm not from here and I think it's odd.
Either you love UK or you hate it.
Yeah, but they have a rabid fan base, and like he said, they can reach out on social media and the love. And I follow him on Twitter and I see everything he posts gets likes and it gets comments and it's like, welcome to Big Blue Nation. We're so excited to have you, and that's awesome because that's something that a kid really really deserves to hear. Because a lot of it can be negative, and it's nice to see fans reach out and be genuinely excited. Like, how often do fans get excited about offensive linemen? It doesn't happen. But they're really, they're excited about having him, and they're excited about having him down in Lexington. And I think that's really cool that, fans that do it the right way, that they can reach out and kind of connect with the fans and vice versa. So it's pretty neat.
How public were you about the final choices, as it were, coming down to your final three were Kentucky, Duke, and Boston College? How out there was that for you? Did you keep that kind of close to the vest?
I kept that close. I thought it was more of a family thing. I wasn't one of those guys that likes to put top 5s out and top 12s out. It was just, it was me in my head and with my family just talking things out. It was like, this is where I want to go. These are the top 3 schools, and you just work your way through them, and you're like, this is where you want to be. You talk, you pray, and all that stuff, and you just kind of find your own decision. And it was pretty quiet for me. I didn't really want to make a big scene.
So you didn't really get a lot of feedback from other maybe fans of other schools saying, what the heck's wrong with you, kiss off for going to that school or anything like that. You didn't really have to deal with a lot of the negative side of what social media can be.
No, I mean, you always see the UC UK like Twitter wars between the fans. And
they're
really fun to watch, but no one really did that with me. It was just kind of, oh, congratulations. It was really nice. Wish you were coming here, but we get it. Hope you best of luck and stuff like that. And it was just,
that's good.
And it was really good to see.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's got to be kind of refreshing for you in some respects because of the stigma sometimes that social media has and how negative it can be and things like that. So I would imagine that had to felt pretty good that it seems like you felt nothing but being embraced. Did that further help cement in your mind that I made the right decision?
It wasn't like I wasn't really concerned with what the fans thought about where I was going. I wanted to find someplace that was right for me. I didn't want to worry about what everyone else thought about it. People talk like UK hasn't been great in the past, and you're like, but they're building something that's going to be great.
Yeah,
and
something you want to be a part of.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's fair enough. Not necessarily you want to do what's best for you, but after you committed, did the outreach did that help cement in your mind again that okay, these fans get it. I think I made the right decision because these people have been so welcoming and so embracing of you coming in.
It's really great to see the fan base is really accepting and really inviting, and it was really great to see that everyone was just so happy. It was really a nice thing to see because, like you said, it's offensive linemen. You only see them in the papers unless they're injured or they do something bad. It's really great to see that people are celebrating offensive linemen.
So you were telling us off the air about a story that happened with another school coming in soon after you gave your verbal commitment to Kentucky back in May. You tell us that on the air. We'll leave out the name of the school. You told us the name of the school off the air. We're going to leave that out for now because we just don't want to put that out there against the school. But take us through the story of another school coming in to take a look at you and the reaction you gave them when you told them the news.
So it was about a week after I committed to UK, and the school comes into the city and they want to talk to one or two guys, me and someone else around the city. And they're a pretty big school, and it's a school that you definitely don't just shun off when they come to talk to you. So they come in, they start talking about me wanting to go to a camp, come to a visit, and I'm seriously considering it. And but you want to tell people what they're getting themselves into. So you're like, well, I just want to let you know that I'm committed to UK. I just committed about a week ago, and their first response very quickly, thank you for your time, best of luck. And you're just like, wow. That's crazy that it went from you're so interested in me to
well, thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah, good luck.
So did teams generally or schools generally leave you alone once you commit, or were they trying to poach you away? Or
there are some schools that want to stay in contact and see if they can try and get you.
Yeah.
But my thing is the word about commitment to me was very important. I was spending the time, and once I made the commitment, I wanted to be sure of the commitment. There was no second guessing of it. And so it was once I committed, I was committed, and I shut the whole thing down.
That's good.
So you didn't even really entertain conversations with other schools from that point on?
No.
So that school came in, obviously that was not one of your final 3 schools, but when you actually gave your commit, what was the reaction of your other 2 final schools, Duke and Boston College? Was it some of the same things like, hey, best of luck to you, or hey, if you change your mind, let us know? What was that like?
I think I'd made it clear to them beforehand that once I'd made my decision, it was made and it wasn't going to change. So there wasn't much of come talk to us if you change your mind. It was more because you build the relationship with these people and you talk to them for months, and you start to build this really good relationship, and you're really happy talking to them because of the 3, there was no bad option. There was just more of a best option for me. And they all you call them and you tell them that you're going to go to somewhere else, and they're like, well, best of luck. We're glad we had a chance to talk to you during this process, and we always hope the best of luck, and we hope you have a successful career. And it was really great to see from the other schools that it was all in good, genuine conversation. It wasn't faked or anything like that.
Well, with Duke and Boston College, those are outstanding academic schools. And obviously, with the way you are academically, I would assume that's very important to you going forward. And what is it you're looking for? Have you thought about a major at this point, what you want to do long-term with yourself, maybe after your football days are over with?
I'm not exactly sure after my football days, but I know going into UK, I'm gonna try to double major in business and psychology and hopefully sports psychology, because I always want to stay involved with sport. It's my first love, and it's always the great thing to see. But I also realize that the world is a business world, and you have to be able to be smart with money and manage yourself.
He's smarter than all of us.
Right? He's got it figured out. He's got a better head on his shoulders going to college than we ever did.
Okay, so let's look now at the program that you're going to join. It won 7 games this year. Going to play in a bowl game at the end of December here against Northwestern. We'll talk about that here in just a couple of minutes. You played tackle in high school, but you were telling us the likely option for you was to move inside to likely guard because the center spot at Kentucky's been, we believe, solidified with Drake Jackson there. So you're thinking a move to guard there, or I would assume you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah, and any way to see the field as early as possible. That's just where I want to be. So
what's been the dialogue like as far as your opportunity for playing time, maybe as a true freshman?
I talked to them. They said if you're good enough to play, you're going to play. But at the same time, one of the things we've been blessed with over the past couple of years is depth. And so once we have depth, if we think if you're better than the guy in front of you, you'll play. But if then we'd rather get a year on the back end with you where you're bigger, stronger, faster, to where you can really dominate people, then we'd rather see that than you go out there as a true freshman and kind of struggle your way through it.
So that's a straightforward answer there, and I'm sure I would imagine you have to appreciate them saying you're going to have the opportunity to come play, not necessarily. There's probably been some recruiting situations there where kids have been told we want you to come here, but you're going to redshirt the first year. So I'm sure they had to give you. Did that help in your decision to commit to Kentucky, that you knew you were going to come in and at least have the opportunity to play early?
It really wasn't a big thing for me. Because I understand the whole concept of a redshirt. I'd rather come and have a better year my 5th year than me have to try and keep up with the new, bigger, faster, stronger people that are 3-4 years older than you. And as a true freshman, it never really was a big thing for me to be, I have to start right away. Because I realized the benefits of having a 5th year of college, the benefits of being bigger, stronger, faster, and the smarter you get, the better you're going to be as a football player. So I'd rather have that opportunity than be more concerned about playing time right away.
So with you being, like I said, going to have to probably move inside, because most prototypical tackles nowadays are 6'7", 6'8" in size. Yeah. You're not quite there. You're at the 6'2", 6'3" range.
I'll give it a little stretch.
You'll be 6'6" in the media guide, I'm sure. Yeah. When that time comes around at that point. So with the position that you're going to probably move to at that guard spot, is it a position that you're looking at the depth chart at Kentucky now and with some other guys coming in that you think you may be able to see some action on the field?
I think I don't really worry about other people first. I like to concern myself with where I'm at and not really concern myself with other people and where they're trying to put themselves. I think I'm very confident in my abilities, and I think that I can play with anybody. That's the mindset you have to have. But at the same time, you realize it's not something I'm forced to worry about. I'm not really too concerned with it. I just want to be able to go and play and contribute where I can.
So around you at Kentucky next season, you'll have, of course, in the backfield, you'll have a monster in Benny Snell to block for, whether you do it in the game or even in practice or whatnot. That's got to feel pretty good that you've got a guy back there who's all ACC caliber, who even if you do see some action early and something doesn't quite go your way on the field, you've got a guy back there who can clean it up and make you look pretty good in the process.
No, he's a great talent. He's a great player, and he's a really cool guy to be around. And you can tell that everyone's excited, and the vibe around UK is everyone's Benny Snell's biggest fan. And it's just really cool to see that they have that caliber of player on their roster and ready to compete and always ready to put on a show on Saturdays.
So what about the quarterback spot? You got Steven Johnson has graduated. He's leaving. Of course, you got Drew Barker, the Northern Kentucky product, back for his senior campaign. He's seen spot action here and there. You've got Terry Wilson, the junior college guy who's in the signing class of 2018, along with yourself, Gunnar Hoke, Walker Wood at that quarterback spot as well. Have you been able to kind of look at that situation and think where things could end up down the road?
For me as an offensive lineman, I don't really care who's back there. It's my job to make them look good. So I don't really care who's back there. I know whoever's back there is a really talented player, and he's going to make us a great program because the coaches have faith in him. If the coaches have faith in you, I got faith in you. And so I'm ready to block for you no matter who you are.
Are you sure you haven't gone through media classes yet?
I was just going to say that, man. Do you have a handler? Like you
got the answers.
Answers are perfect.
Josh Gordon need a handler? He could help him out.
Yeah.
Oh. We'll get to that in a little bit.
That might be coming there in a little bit. So, again, a 7-win season this season and quite a few pieces coming back next year as well. Is this a team, from your perspective, that next year can make that next step and can compete as far as they can with the Georgias, the Floridas, if Dan Mullen gets them going quickly, maybe Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt down there, and also South Carolina surprised this year. I think a lot of people as well, because we know what the SEC West is going to look like. It's going to be Alabama and everybody trying to catch them by and large, although Auburn got to the title game. Auburn's no joke.
They're playing pretty good football
They're no joke. But
we know that side's a little bit more well-decided than the SEC East is,
but
so there's more of a chance.
Do you think this team is in a spot, though, where it can move up and make a run at Georgia, Florida, and try and get to the SEC title game?
Oh, most definitely. I think they'd even tell you that this year they had that same opportunity. They just let a couple games slip out of their hands, and that they had in the palm of their hands. They were ready to grasp that next step. And I think with the pieces they're putting in place and the pieces they have coming back, I see no reason why we can't make a run at the SEC title or anything better. You
got one more shot this season. Your future school does in the Music City Bowl. That's on December 29th, taking on a Northwestern team that won 9 games this season. They didn't really get talked about a lot, but still
surprising. You didn't hear much about them, but they still won 9 football games.
Won 9 football games here. I don't really have a doubt as far as because we're doing the bowl picks here, and we'll go through the other bowl games coming up this week here in just a moment. I kind of don't have a doubt where your pick is going here with this one here, but give us a little bit of what you can see as far as what people can look forward to as far as that matchup goes.
I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I think I'm more familiar with UK, and I'm confident in their abilities as a program to prepare for the bowl and prepare for Northwestern and come out on the field and be ready to rock and roll. I mean, it's the seniors' last ride, and they really want to go out on a high note. So I know they'll be even more juiced up and amped for it than anybody else on the field. And you guys, like you said, you got guys like Benny who are ready to step up and really just be the workhorse. So there's no doubt in my mind that they have the ability and the preparation to be ready to go out there and get a win for the bowl game.
Are you going to head down to that bowl game?
I don't think so. I think I'm going to stay in town, hang out with the family over break.
Short break here in Anderson Township.
I know. You got a short school break. I don't know if you had the time to make it down there or not, down in Nashville with the Music City Bowl. So
wait.
Go ahead.
Why don't you tell everyone else the reason you gave us that you think UK is going to win this game?
What do you mean?
Somebody made you a
promise that they were going to win the game.
Benny Snell at the UK basketball game promised the fans that he'd win the game and that they'd win the game. So, I mean, I have confidence in Benny Snell and the rest of the team.
So if he says that, you're taking it to the bank.
Hey, he's my running back. I got his back.
There you go.
He's the workhorse right now.
That's a great answer right there. He's my running back.
He's a good offensive lineman. There you go.
Not even there in school yet. He's already my running back.
He knows how to take care of the guys in the backfield.
So, obviously, Kentucky wins this game.
Yes.
Can you give a score?
Score.
Ballpark.
Put him on the spot.
Ballpark.
Oh, no,
you don't have to go specifics.
I didn't give him the heads up on
you didn't have to
pick a score.
You didn't have to go specifics. You can just ballpark it.
I give a ballpark. I think 24-17. One of those rough them up, fight them out games that everyone pulls a score here and there, and it's back and forth.
Fair enough. Okay. 24-17 Kentucky. Is anyone else here backing Q with his Kentucky pick?
I can see it.
You can see it, but can you make the pick?
We're picking, and right now I'm trailing the officer by 1, so I got to start making up ground. So I can't necessarily pick with my heart just because my guy's sitting next to me.
I'll pick against Central Michigan later.
You can pick. I'm the only one picking the Chippewas.
I was throwing you a bone with that one.
No, you know what? Forget it.
He's going to pressure you in.
I'll take it.
He pressured you into it.
Hey, I'll take UK. No, I will. I'll take UK, and here's why. Because I think Northwestern can struggle at times. UK is kind of limping in this game, losing their last 2 by not very good scores to Georgia and Louisville. Not good.
Yeah, not good.
But the bowl games always seem to have a different feel to them because you get a month to prepare. You're only focusing on one opponent. You get those bowl practices, and you get to throw in wrinkles and throw in stuff that teams haven't seen before. You know, as much as games can always. You know, you can watch as much film as you want, but teams always have something different for bowl games because they always want to put in something that a team has never seen before. And sometimes that layoff hurts you, and sometimes it helps you. UK, I think, needed the break. UK did not want to keep rolling the season the way they were doing. The later their bowl game was, the better it was going to be for them. And I think, and I thought about this before. And it's not just UK. Or Q pressure me into the
sure.
No, it's really not. Because I was going to give him a shot at it because I've seen Northwestern play a few Big Ten games, or at least the highlights of them. They don't impress me that much. They don't do anything special. And if it gets into a grind 'em game like Q predicts, I think UK has every opportunity to win the game. So yeah, I'll take UK. I'm fine with it. If I'm down an extra game to the officer, then I'm okay with it. But it's. I think UK can win the game. I think the time off is going to help them. I think it's going to give them an opportunity to kind of put some stuff in that Northwestern hasn't seen before, and they'll have a chance to take an opportunity of it. So it's a virtual home game for them. So just how Big Blue Nation travels, it's going to be a virtual home game for them at the bowl.
So Keith is going to wuss out and pick Kentucky. Extra pressure from Q.
And I see that you're only tallying our bowl game picks. If we throw in the conference championships, you're down 2. Just putting that out there. No, fair enough. As much as I'm a Kentucky boy, as much as I want to root for them, and I do, and Q. I'm sorry, especially now, and I'm going to be rooting for you throughout your career. But I just can't take I can't take Kentucky in this one. I mean, Northwestern's won 7 in a row. They're really good against the run. Nobody runs on them except Duke. 2 of they lost to Duke, but then their other 2 losses were to New Year's Six bowl teams in Wisconsin and Penn State. So as much as I'd like to see, I'm rooting for Kentucky, but I'm picking Northwestern.
I cannot trust that Kentucky defense. I can't do it. And there's been a lot of different offenses that have torn them to shreds this season. The Louisville game I kind of put to the side because Lamar Jackson's a freak.
Yeah.
And their offense boils down.
He has the ability to take anybody's defense.
Yeah, their offense is one read and then it becomes street ball. And Jackson is so good of an athlete, you can't stop that. Yeah. The Georgia game, I think, is what's more concerning for me in the fact that they just ran right down Kentucky's throats and there was nothing they could do about it. And then you have, like Q mentioned, there were a couple other games that things just slipped away. You go back to the Florida game, obviously, seeing, on multiple occasions, guys couldn't get lined up in the right position, which I'm sure had to drive you nuts watching that.
I was watching it during homecoming. And I'm sitting there during the dance like, oh, my goodness. And you're like, how'd that happen? And they were still in the game, and they still had a chance to win it.
Wait, you took a timeout from your homecoming dance to watch the game?
You're right.
That is outstanding.
That is.
Good for you. That is outstanding. So
I want to see the streak end just as much as everyone else does. I want to be a part of when the streak ends against Florida.
Yeah, that's what maybe they were sandbagging.
Yeah.
Wait
until Q shows up.
Wait for you to get there on the sidelines and into the field.
Although game 1 will be a loss next year for them anyway. Chippewas are coming to town.
No, well,
Chippewas are coming to Lexington to win.
Q can't keep a straight face on that.
That's the one game I can't cheer for you. I'm sorry. The Chippewas are coming to town.
We may have to make a
September 1st. Q said he'll get us tickets.
I don't know how many tickets you think I get.
We'll get.
He's got to take care of the family first.
We'll get them from CMU. We'll get them from the Chippewas.
Okay.
Chippewas aren't going to travel that far, so we'll get them from the Chippewas.
You have plenty of room, plenty of seating.
Yeah,
will be available.
plenty of prime seats available in the Chippewa section.
He's got to take care of mom and dad and the family.
Oh, I get it.
First, I mean, you're just a coach for one season. You're kind of on the back burner there, pal.
Yeah, it's cool.
He'll
big time me in no time.
I told you that if you got me tickets to that game again next time, I'd wear Central Michigan stuff, but I don't think I can now.
Oh, come on.
No, man. I can't. As a UK grad, I can't.
I totally understand.
Yeah, I can't.
You got a degree. It says University of Kentucky on it. I get it. It's no big deal.
I can't.
It's all the rest of those homers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just can't.
I got you.
I just can't do it.
I understand, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the other bowl games that will be coming on this coming week. First off, we'll just kind of run down through it. Everybody just kind of give their pick and maybe just a quick little note about the game. The Gasparilla Bowl. It's a hell of a name.
What's a Gasparilla?
I don't know. Temple versus Florida International.
Florida International.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think Temple has a shot. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the Owls in general, but I just don't think they have a chance.
The Temple Owls, not the Fighting Lane Kiffins?
No, Temple Owls. Fighting Lane Kiffins put up some extra points yesterday. Don't talk bad about Lane Kiffin. He'll go for 2 on you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Lane.
Ask your Maction buddies there. So.
I knew that one was going to be a blowout.
See, I don't understand that, how there's a – Florida Atlantic gets a bowl game on their home field.
Yeah, well, it makes travel expenses a lot cheaper.
It does for them, but then poor Akron has to make all the accommodations down there.
Akron was probably happy to get out of Northern Ohio. They're not too far from Cleveland, so they were happy to get as far away from Cleveland as possible.
Right. There you go.
All right, so Keith's with Florida International. I'm with Florida International.
I'm with Florida International. I think Butch Davis gets them the win, and at 9, most wins in Florida International history.
God, about Butch Davis being down there.
I'm also with Florida International. I watched the documentaries on the U, so that's all I know about Butch Davis. Is the U.
Well, that's all you need to know.
Exactly.
They're starting a brother combination at quarterback and center. I don't know if that's ever happened or
no. That's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I might have that in the works.
It's because of an injury. The center is a redshirt freshman, and due to injury, he had to step up. But that's pretty cool. That's
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's happened too many times before, if ever.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Friday, December 22nd kicks off with the Bahamas Bowl at 12:30. Seeing another Maction team in Ohio taking on a team which is probably the coolest story in college football this season, the UAB Blazers.
100%.
We all know
the best story out there.
And but how their coach is not a nominee for AP Coach of the Year is beyond me.
If Scott Frost didn't go undefeated, he probably would.
Well, Scott Frost, Kirby Smart, and I think Dabo Sweeney. I mean, it's like
again, it's the Blazers, and it's they were kind of lost and forgotten, and their program got canceled. And credit to them for what they did this season, and they well deserved. And if he was in that conversation, nobody would complain. It's just you're playing an uphill battle with media coverage in Birmingham. You're just not getting the media coverage that you deserve down there.
Go Blazers! That's where I'm at.
UAB.
Got the
Blazers?
I got UAB.
I want the Blazers to win 100%.
I got the Blazers. I like a good story.
I like the story too, but Maction's winning this one.
I'm with Adam. I got Ohio.
Yeah, we got Frank Solich. He keeps doing it at Ohio.
It's Frank's right.
He was the best coach in the last 15 years that they had at Nebraska, and they fired him, and now he's been doing it. And being a Mac fan, he's been doing it at Ohio for years, winning 8, 9, 10 games a season, and it's just going to happen again. I mean, they're upset about not making the MAC championship game, and Frank Solich always has teams ready to play bowl games. He's good in bowl games.
UAB's Bill Clark started coaching his coaching career with a high school team in 1999. That was the same year that Frank Solich was winning the Big 12 title for the Huskers. Yeah.
Frank's going to do it. Maction. Hashtag Maction.
No.
Hey, the second one's Maction too.
I know. Yeah. The next one we're going for it's on Friday, and we have to mention it because it's a game being played. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Yeah, that one.
The mashed potato bowl.
The mashed potato bowl.
On the blue turf.
Wyoming taking on the lukewarm chips.
Fire up chips.
Of Central Michigan. Keith, go ahead and state your case for your Chippewas.
You all want to pick against them first, so then I can get you?
I'm taking Wyoming.
All right.
So
take Wyoming. Go ahead.
I'm taking Wyoming.
Go ahead. I'll explain to you why not.
I I had the chips.
Good looking out.
Jason, can you read what that says right
Except
there?
for
Fire up salsa.
On my notes, I had it.
fire up chips and fire up salsa.
Yeah. So no, but I was basing that essentially on Josh Allen not playing. It was up in the air. I figured he was going to err on the side of caution.
Look out for his future.
Yeah.
Which you should, by the way, Josh, if you're listening, don't play. You don't have to. Look out for your future. Go get your paycheck. Stay home.
And just the way it had been going. Now, Q here let me know, though, that Josh
is going to play.
That he is playing. So with that in mind, I'm sorry, Adam, but
it's fine.
I gotta switch my pick to Wyoming.
I'm still taking Central. I think it's gonna work out.
He's not your coach anymore. Quit sucking up.
I think it's gonna work out a little bit like what happened with Aaron Rodgers this weekend. Comes back fighting through injury, doesn't have his best game, and Central's gonna take advantage of it.
It's your fault, AA Ron.
AA Ron. No, here's why. Because Josh Allen's coming back. Like Q said, he's coming off an injury. Chippewas have a ball hawk defense. They led the nation in turnovers. 16 interceptions by their secondary. Josh Allen he's a great quarterback, and he's possibly a top 10 NFL pick, but I don't think that's enough. Even in the games he played 4 games this season, he struggled in those 4 games. He didn't have a great season, but he is a prototypical NFL guy, and he's going to go to the combine. He's going to impress and all that stuff. If anything starts to hurt or twinge or whatever with him, if he doesn't pull himself out of the game, he's an idiot. Because he doesn't want to go to the combine hurt, because he's going to be fighting that small school stigma coming from Wyoming. He has to show up at the combine and be impressive. So I just think if the Chippewas can get to him, they got the second leading sacker in the nation up front, Joe Ostman, and I think that they can get after the quarterback. They can force him to turn it over. Shane Morris is going for 3,000 yards in a season at Central after his tumultuous career at Michigan. And their head coach just signed an extension through 2022. John Bonamigo just got an extension, and I think the Chippewas are fired up for it. The fan base, everybody that's surrounding Central football right now, super excited about Coach Bono and what he's doing up there. I just think that they're going to that game very motivated, and it's something that it's going to continue. They won 7 in a row. I think they go for their 8th in a row to this weekend.
I just don't trust Shane Morris enough because he's been so wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, he's made bad decisions at times.
The Chippewa fan base is not going to travel out to Idaho.
No. Wyoming can drive, and Central's got to get on a plane.
Yeah.
They'll have a couple hundred people there, but they're not going to fill the stands. But in general, that bowl game is a largely empty stadium. You're playing in Boise, Idaho in December. It's largely an empty stadium. And Central Michigan is used to playing in front of empty stadiums. So that shouldn't affect them very much. I'm sorry, they won 5 in a row. They haven't won 7 in a row. They won 5 in a row. But yeah, I just think that it's the atmosphere doesn't affect them. They're a cold weather team to begin with. I don't think going to the blue turf affects how they're going to play. Take a team from Florida and put them in Boise, Idaho. I think it's a different story. But I don't think the weather and the empty stadium really is going to affect them. Plus, the winner gets like a giant bowl of mashed potatoes, and who doesn't like mashed potatoes?
Well, especially when the season's over, who cares?
Yeah.
Because you can just gorge on it all you want.
Yeah, it's a nice flight home, too. Oh, played out there, final game of our redshirt freshman year. Is the worst flight home ever. It's so long.
I thought you were going to say it was a nice flight because you were just getting out of there.
No, getting out of Boise. Coldest game I ever played in my life.
All right, so Keith's with the lukewarm chips.
Fire up chips. Of course, I'm picking my guys, but
Q gave in to please his now former coach.
He gave in to please UK, so it works.
And I hope we both get those right, because then I can pull one closer to the officer on the overall picks.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll keep the picks updated on the Facebook and the Twitter as we go forward. Moving on to Saturday, December 23rd, it kicks off with the Birmingham Bowl, South Florida against Texas Tech.
I'm taking another directional Florida school. I mean, I'm just picking Florida schools left and right. I think South Florida wins. I like the Bulls. Texas Tech doesn't impress me. I'm over spiky-haired cut. What's his name?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. I'm over it. Their whole announcement giving that kid a scholarship with Gronk was pretty funny. But
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But
Cliff Kingsbury has
he's done nothing.
He's done nothing and has no clue how to stop anything defensively. And one thing we saw, especially in that game against Central Florida, is South Florida can score with anybody.
Yes, they can play. Exactly. I mean, they can play ball, and it's not. And again, I feel a little weird because I keep FIU and FAU and USF and UCF. I keep picking all these
Are you
directional
pining for a
forces.
Florida coaching job?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that what it is?
Hook it up. But yeah, Texas Tech doesn't impress me. Cliff Kingsbury, how he still has a job there other than the fact that
he also looked back at the fact that he didn't think Baker Mayfield was good enough for a scholarship, let alone to play.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah,
could have had a Heisman Trophy sitting in your front lobby. Instead, you got a 6-6 record again.
But they keep giving him like $40 million extensions as well. So yeah, I'm with.
Hey, what's up, guy?
I'm with South Florida as well, officer.
We have a visitor here.
Yeah, we got a visitor.
We have a little Keith.
Keith
Jr.
Jr.
Little Keith.
Keith Jr.
No, I'm with. I think South Florida wins running away. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, I got South Florida. Texas Tech doesn't play defense. It's kind of hard to stop teams when you don't.
Right.
That game figures to be a high-scoring game. Regardless, I think the winner of that one easily puts up over 40, maybe 50 points.
It could be.
It's
going to be a shootout. It should be fun to watch.
A game later that day that will not be high-scoring, at least on paper, anyways. The Armed Forces Bowl, San Diego State taking on Army. And a great game that was between Army and Navy this year, by the way.
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
We talked about last week. It was
phenomenal.
Awesome.
Phenomenal.
I'm going to kick it off with Army. I think they're still riding high from the Navy game, and they're going to come in ready to go.
That's exactly why I'm taking San Diego State, because I think it's a letdown game for them. I think they won what essentially is their Super Bowl. They won the President's Trophy, and I just think, or the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. I think that was what they invested so much of their season into that game. I think San Diego State wins.
Unless they got some more camouflage uniforms, I think Rashad Penny gets it done for San Diego State.
Rashad Penny is too good of an athlete. Yep. I just think that Army, as much as they're going to be able to control the ball on offense, I just don't think that they can stop Rashad Penny. I
think Army gets it done in this one. I think and mainly because Army does control the football. And the last number of weeks, and especially last number of years, really under Dan Monken, they've been racking up the yards rushing in droves.
Yeah.
There's been several games this year they've rushed for over 500 yards. I don't know if they'll get there again, but I think they'll do enough. But like I said, that game, I wouldn't be shocked if there's fewer than 15 passes, and 13 of those will be San Diego State.
Yeah,
because we know Army
may not throw one.
Yeah,
they threw 2 against Navy, and they were 1 for 2 in the game.
Yeah, so we're split evenly again on that. Officer and Keith go San Diego State. Myself and Q go with Army. The Dollar General Bowl Saturday night. Appalachian State against Toledo.
Maction. Hashtag Maction. The Rockets. App State can't compete with the Rockets. The Rockets are the best thing going in the MAC. They've been for a while.
Whoa. How much did that hurt to say?
I couldn't beat Toledo when we were there. I don't think we beat Toledo one time in 5 years while I was there.
Central scheduled them as homecoming this year.
Terrible.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So ask me how that went.
Yeah, the schedule makers. He called me out before the game, and I was like, I don't know why they scheduled that for homecoming. It didn't work out well for the Chips. Toledo's a great football team. They've been competitive for years. App State's
I think it's a shame they don't get more attention nationally than they do. Yeah. We talked about what Frank Solich has done at Ohio the last number of years, but then there's Toledo. They're winning 10 games almost every year.
And they're passing coaches along that are successful after they're done. I mean, you look at what Matt Campbell's doing at Iowa State, and not that they had a great season, but they had 2 really big wins, and it's something that they have a pretty good coaching succession that's been coming through there the past couple of years. And I just it pains me to say, but they're the class of the MAC right now, and it's until somebody beats them, it's hard to pick against them.
Officer, you want to make it unanimous and go with Toledo?
Yep.
Didn't they almost beat Florida this year?
I don't know if they almost beat Florida. They've been in games with SEC schools for years. Like they always play non-conference games tough. Like
they aren't just chalk.
They got a good program there.
They're not necessarily just money games.
No, not at all
for those other schools. Christmas Eve, the Hawaii Bowl. Fresno State takes on Houston.
Well, the best location that we got in the bowl games, that's for sure.
Yeah,
maybe the Bahamas, but I got Fresno State. It's an easier plane ride for them. I think they're just a better football team. Good for them. Houston getting out there. I got Fresno State.
I'm gonna go Fresno State. Solid.
Same. I think they're able to protect the ball and they come away with the win.
Yeah, Jeff Tedford's done a hell of a job out at Fresno, and that's one of the more underrated coaching turnarounds this season as well, because Fresno State the last number of years has been in the toilet.
Yeah, there was that time when they were really good and they were competing for undefeated seasons, and then they kind of fell off, and you're like, what happened to Fresno State? All of a sudden you start seeing the Bulldog with that V on the back of the helmet again.
Yeah, and then we talked about the end of the season a few weeks ago when we debated the playoff, who would get in between Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama's win over Fresno State wound up being one of the better wins on their resume.
Yeah, it came full circle because Fresno State really turned it on at the end of the season.
They rallied late. So, yeah, we're unanimous. Not everyone goes Fresno State. The day after Christmas, it's nice they give people Christmas Day off now with these bowl games. The Heart of Dallas Bowl, Utah, West Virginia.
I got the Mormons.
I got the Utes as well.
Yeah, fighting Mormons, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go Utah. Solid pick.
I'm going to go West Virginia. And I know they can throw it up there in bunches, so I'm curious to see if they can get going against a very good Utah defense. I think West Virginia will get it done there. The Quick Lane Bowl later that night, Duke, one of your final three there, Q, taking on Northern Illinois.
#Maction. These are all the MAC bowls this week. Akron got blown out yesterday. Let's hope the rest of the MAC does a little better than Akron.
Let's just get these bums out of the way before we get to the real bowl.
Yeah.
Bums. So you're going Northern Illinois.
Of course.
Okay.
I got the Huskies. Duke's an academic school. I don't care about them. I'm just kidding. I'm picking NIU regardless. Nothing about Duke's football team impresses me except for the fact that their coach turned down the Tennessee job.
He's a legend.
Dave Cutcliffe turned down the Tennessee job.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, how much conversations you have with Coach Cutcliffe?
I had breakfast with him when I went down there. It was a really good time. He's chatting up with Mom, having a great conversation. I'm talking to players, having a good time. But he's a great guy, a lot of charisma. So I got to go Duke.
Yeah, good, man.
Fair enough.
I can understand that.
I can buy that.
I have Northern Illinois in the game. Duke's just, again, up and down team. You don't know what you're going to get with them. I have Northern Illinois.
They got finals they had to study for and stuff. Who knows if they even paid attention? They're worried about their degree more than they're worried about football. Yeah.
Suckers.
What's your degree from Duke going to get you?
A job in Bristol, Connecticut.
They clean house every 2 years now anyway.
Yeah. Officer, Northern Illinois?
Northern Illinois, yeah.
Okay. And finally, the last of the bowl games we're going to pick this week. Again, the day after Christmas, the nightcap that night, the Cactus Bowl, Kansas State versus UCLA.
Chip Kelly's not there yet, so I'm going to go with Kansas State.
Is Josh Rosen playing in that one?
And it's up in the air.
Still up in the air.
It's up in the air.
Oh my gosh!
You got almost a full week to find out, but right now it's still up in the air. He's not committed to it yet. That's one reason I got Kansas State.
Yeah, if I was allowed to change my pick, then I. But no,
with that, I'm gonna have to go Kansas State. Josh Rosen, he was in there. Probably go UCLA.
He's another guy to be. If there's any question about it, sit out.
Yeah, don't play.
Right.
Don't do it.
Get yourself ready.
Christian McCaffrey gave you the blueprint. If you don't have to play in the bowl game, don't play in it because it doesn't matter. The NFL teams don't look bad at you for not playing in a bowl game. Don't risk your financial future to play in a bowl game that means nothing.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
So, and with that exact thought and not knowing and having to pick now, I pick Kansas State as well.
Yeah, I'm going there as well. And one reason also is because Bill Snyder's not sure if he's coming back next season to coach at K-State. So this could be.
If this is his final game, then those kids are going to be. He is
basically the guy that put Kansas State football on the map.
Yeah.
Even back 15, 20 years ago when he had Darren Sproles there, and I think they almost got to the title game.
Yeah.
At that time.
The man's a legend. He's been there forever. Literally forever.
But he's not sure if he's going to come back. So yeah, I think we're all unanimous on that one. I would stick with Kansas State even if Josh Rosen decides to play in the bowl game.
That could be true
as well because of the coaching change at UCLA. With Chip Kelly coming in.
Is he doing the game?
I don't think so.
No.
And the fact that UCLA's defense has been wretched this season. They've been torn up.
They can't stop anyway.
Right. And Kansas State runs a very, very unique offense where their quarterback's essentially a running back that can throw when necessary, but he's running the ball 40 times a game. So that's it for the college portion of the show. We still got some NFL stuff to get into.
Including
we're gonna start off the NFL segment talking about the Marvin Lewis news, but just before we came on here on the Fumblegate podcast and also on Facebook Live, our special guest Quintin decided I really love that Cleveland segment you guys do.
Ugh, Cleveland.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it. That was
we got to start doing voiceover. We got to get more guests and start doing voiceovers for Cleveland.
That was unsolicited.
That's great.
That was unsolicited.
You're gonna have to save that clip, and we're going to use that in the future.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll do that. So
no royalties though. Sorry, Q.
So with that, it is
of everything we're getting paid.
NCAA violation.
1% of 0 is 0.
It's an NCAA violation. We can't even if we make it big, we can't give them any money.
Yeah, you got to wait 5 years. You got to wait 5 years. So with that, this is now your weekly installment of everybody.
Cleveland, so bad.
Officer
fire.
He gets it. Yes.
You can tell he listens.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He listens.
And with that, officer, the floor is yours.
I gotta say, I wish I'd have known coming into this episode that you were a fan, because I would have put more. I know I get a little long-winded because there's so much about Cleveland. I would have prepared more. I've actually been trying to cut it back because I could go on for 15 minutes, and I think I have once or twice. So anyway, Cleveland. My youngest son is 3 years old. He has been alive for the Cleveland Browns to win 4 games.
He almost has more years on this earth than the Cleveland Browns have victories.
Yes. I went back and looked to the date of his birthday and everything.
His actual birthday.
Yeah, and he
4 wins in a 3-year time period.
In 3 full plus years, the Browns have won 4 games. Not that we're watching these Browns games at the officer household.
No,
so they wouldn't have seen. Really, he's never going to see any Browns wins.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's how many he's been alive for.
It's amazing. And imagine there's people out there that are Cleveland fans that have children the same age who have possibly only seen 4 victories.
Right.
Or a child that was born last year hasn't seen any.
Yes.
Right. There's children out there who've never seen the Browns win.
So, I mean, it's kind of sad. With their biggest accomplishment this year is that they took a bad team to overtime. That's you got to start somewhere. It's a building block. Right. There's a meme going out there that I'm sure everybody's seen it, but I couldn't leave it out. There's been 3 times the number of Star Wars movies since December 2015 than there have been Browns wins. Star Wars has tripled the Browns.
3 Star Wars movies, 0 Browns wins.
One.
The
one win. They beat San Diego.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because they didn't want to have a parade. So,
parade's still on.
Yeah,
it's hasn't canceled yet.
I want to see it.
It's still in the works.
So are we still planning on possibly driving up there to broadcast live from the Cleveland Browns?
I really think we should. I think we should make that happen.
When would it be? What day is the schedule for? Is it the Monday after?
We got to figure that out.
Yeah, we got to get some logistics, but I would love to do it.
Yeah,
I really
bring nose plugs and we'll be good to go.
We gotta get Joe. We just have to blow up Joe Thomas and see if he'll come join us.
There you go.
God, I hope Joe, if you're listening, please come join us. Joe, we love you, buddy.
I don't know if he's joined to talk about how bad the Browns are.
He can just come on the show. Well, he's looking to purchase the Panthers, so maybe he's ready to move on.
Well, he got like a million retweets. He would buy the Panthers.
Yeah, he wants. Well,
the last time I checked, it was up to like 20,000, including three from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Him and P. Diddy. Oh,
I'd put him in my ownership group.
That's an ownership group.
If I want
Joe
an ownership
Thomas
group,
and P. Diddy.
I'd put Joe Thomas in it, 100%. Sorry, we're derailing your segment.
No, that's okay.
Back to Cleveland.
That's okay. We love you, Joe Thomas. Okay, so they're trying to get things like they're like, what can we do? What can we do to get on track to get a win? Let's sign a kicker. Or at least try one out. So they bring in Robert Aguayo, who was 22 for 31 last year. That's not exactly high draft pick type of numbers.
No.
He's been cut from 3 teams this year. So, yeah, why not, Cleveland?
And remember, he was the kicker that declared a year early from Florida State, and Tampa drafted in, the 2nd round?
Oh, yeah. They were banking their kicking future on him.
Greatest college kicker of all time.
He was the greatest college kicker of all time.
And then he signed a pro contract.
Right.
Got
kickers.
Carolina
kickers.
cut him.
We'll get to some more of those, too.
Carolina cut him from their practice squad, so I guess Cleveland, it's good enough. Come on.
Carolina's in contention for the playoff spot. Cleveland's not. Might as well bring in their trash. We got enough trash. Just bring some more.
Right.
Go ahead, officer.
All right. Cleveland, you lost your final home game of the season. You have no more chances to win at home. And you lost to the former Browns. You've got 2 games left against the Bears and the Steelers to get a win. We're going to have a parade.
Bears. The Bears. They got a shot with the Bears.
I mean, the Bears beat the Bengals up and down the field.
Yeah,
So.
they did.
Right. They made Mitch Trubisky look like
They did.
Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
The healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Healthy, right,
Yeah.
right.
Not this past Sunday's
they
Aaron
got
Rodgers.
a better chance of beating the Bears than they do of beating the Steelers.
They made him look like discount double check Aaron Rodgers, not AA Ron Rodgers.
Hey, Ron.
And that's all I have. This has been
This has been your weekly installment of
Cleveland.
Hey,
Almost time for the parade. So maybe their one victory of the season is having a parade.
That's going to be fun.
that's our victory for them.
Yes. Even if we can't broadcast, I kind of just want to go.
Well, if we end up getting up there, we'll definitely have something on the Facebook.
Can we just take a mic and do some interviews and just use them?
We'll see.
Oh man, I want to.
Oh yeah, the random people that
Yeah,
are
just
out there.
interview random people.
That would be so.
Like the dozens of people that are in attendance, we can interview a couple of them.
And that's all right. That's all
It
right.
might be a bigger crowd than.
And we can
guys
tell
that-
them like we're here just to laugh at you.
Like we just want to make fun of you and your city. Please give us a soundbite. Just give us anything.
Anything.
And yet, in a weird way, it's kind of solidarity because we're with you because your team went winless.
Yes, like we're happy your team went winless, and you are too. Like we're
It's
here.
finally something that they can celebrate. They're not going to get in a real parade anytime soon. So
No. Unless the Cavs win, but Browns fans aren't getting a parade.
Right. So, elsewhere in the AFC North, and we've got a couple of things here regarding the AFC North. The news came out at a very, very horrific time for the Cincinnati Bengals that Marvin Lewis has basically decided he's done after this season. And I said the news had a very bad timing because it came out hours before their game Sunday against Minnesota, which they basically just didn't show up for. It broke while the players were on the bus going towards the stadium.
Yeah.
And obviously they all
Great
have
timing, Schefter.
they all have social media. They know what's going on with it. And then you have Marvin after the game, of course, denying it, saying it's not true, and then saying these guys don't look at anything. They don't pay.
really deny it.
He said
He was evasive.
but he said, oh, these guys aren't looking at anything but NFL stuff. I'm just like, are you that out of touch?
And then AJ Green said, "Oh yeah, I saw it on social media."
Yeah, he did. Carlos
Shut
Dunlap
my
did.
down.
I mean,
Well done, Marvin. Way to have control of your team.
Q, you've been going through the whole recruiting process, and as you mentioned earlier, social media has been a big part of it. You can't be that naive as a coach to think your players aren't checking out social media.
No, everyone's on there. Everyone's on there.
If you have a social media page, you look at it. Like you don't have like you follow any of the big guys, and they retweet stuff all the time. I mean,
I got the ESPN update about it.
Yeah,
before the game.
It happens all the time. Like it's not gonna not come out, and it's now there's talk that was it his agent that leaked it, or was it a conversation that was overheard by somebody else? Do the Browns already know the Browns being Mike? Does he already know, and they're just preparing for future without?
They claim
him?
that no one knew about this ahead of time.
Somebody knows.
that it was coming out anyway.
No, the Browns know. Assuming it's true, and I do assume it's true. The Browns already know about it. The team already knows about it. Everybody knows that this is inevitable. To me, it is this bit of a disappointment. Fans are elated. If this is true, Cincinnati fans are elated. What's frustrating to me is even though they're millionaires, it is frustrating for the players because if they knew about it already, it was internal, and now they have to answer questions about it.
Well, it has to be a gut punch for the players too. While you're trying to focus on the game, you're literally on the bus to the stadium, and you get the ESPN alert, or they check social media that's saying it's coming out, and all of a sudden, you're only human. Your mindset can't wander to, well, shoot, he's already decided he's gone.
I guess he's leaving. What do we care?
Yeah, who cares? And obviously,
that
performance Sunday,
they came out flat. I mean,
yeah. That performance Sunday was that, and
they like to say that they're pros and that type of stuff isn't going to affect them because they have too much preparation. But I mean, they're also human.
I 100% believe that Mike Zimmer let up on them because he took mercy on them. That game could have been 50-something easily.
The officer and I talked about it when it was 27-0. He's like, over under from here.
Yeah,
27 points, or not over under, but
Sure.
Bengals plus 27 from here. What happens? End up being a push because the Bengals got one and the Vikings got one back. But it could have got ugly, and it was bad. We were watching together, and it was almost the end of the second quarter. The first time they even crossed half field. The first play.
2 minutes left in the third quarter.
Oh, in the third quarter, yeah.
Yeah.
The first time they crossed midfield was 2 minutes left in the third quarter. The Bengals couldn't do anything. And you could tell. And the news came out before the game, and they came out flat, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Like, there was not a shred of emotion, and the announcer made made mention of it, that the sideline was flat. Players weren't even, like, getting in each other's asses. They were just kind of going through the motion out there, just waiting for Monday to get that paycheck. It's frustrating because, again, they're professionals, but it sucks for the players because that's not something that they want to answer questions about. That's Marvin and the Browns deal. That has nothing to do with the players.
I think Marvin leaked it intentionally.
I think he did too.
You've heard the comments he's made over the last number of weeks about how
he's mailed it in.
The defense is the only part of the defense's job is to stop the other team from scoring.
Yeah.
And then last week it's not my job to get the players
ready.
Which tells me right there he's already checked out.
He's done. Right.
So why not go ahead and make it official? But it's just, again, to have it come out hours before the game.
Yeah.
You want to get it out
Terrible timing.
Yeah, you want to put it out Thursday or Friday, fine. It is what it is. But to do it that morning.
Yeah. Bad idea.
It just I don't understand it.
Adam Schefter doesn't
he didn't put out stuff willy-nilly.
No, he's not
wrong.
He's not wrong. Yeah, exactly.
So now, assuming that's true, who's the potential candidates?
I would look.
Can I lead off with who I'd like to see?
Sure.
Who I think would be a good.
Is this realistic or is this pipe dream?
I think it's realistic.
Okay.
I think it's realistic.
Sure, go ahead.
Because the guy doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have the resume of a lot of people. I think he's up and coming, and I'd like to see him get Frank Reich, offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He played in the league at quarterback for 13 years. He greatest comeback in NFL history, that game versus the Bills versus the Oilers where they were down 35-3, and that was him. But anyway, he's Philly has had a lot of success on offense this year. Very quarterback friendly offense. He's known as a player's coach. He's very likable. His guys want to come out and play for him. He's not going to. If I don't even know if he's looking to be a head coach candidate or anything, he's not going to command high dollar like a lot of other candidates might at this point.
The ones that the fans are going to want, that they're going to command high dollars.
Right.
The fans are going to be clamoring for a high dollar coach, and we know Mike Brown's not going to pay that. And it's I don't think that's necessarily even the way to go. So I don't know who they think they're going to get.
It's kind of like we talked about with Tennessee, where they got to the point where they needed to get a coordinator. Yeah. I think it's a similar type situation in Cincinnati. I think Frank Reich is obtainable, and I think he could be a good coach. He's been around the NFL forever. I'd like to see what he could do in Cincinnati. I think he could succeed here.
I see them doing a very Bengals thing, hiring from within, whoever that is.
God,
that's such a Bengals thing.
It is a Bengals thing to do.
It's such a Bengals way to do it.
I hope they don't. For the fans of Cincinnati, because I, as everyone knows, I'm not a huge fan of Cincinnati.
Wait, really?
I hope for the fans' sake you don't hire within, because I don't know who on that staff is going to make a good head coach. If you hire Paul Guenther, cash it in. If Bengals fans, listen to me. If they hire Paul Guenther to be their head coach, mail your season tickets back in. Do not renew them. It is not going to be worth your time. Please do not let them hire Paul Guenther. What Tennessee did with their AD, you need to do that with Mike Brown. You need to go protest outside his office so he rips up that contract.
Yeah,
that is not who you want to be your head coach.
If they were going to promote a defensive coordinator, they should have done it 3-4 years ago. Yeah.
They missed the ball when Zimmer went up to Minnesota.
Yeah, as growing up as a Bengals fan, if it's Paul Guenther, I will turn in my fandom. I'm done. If they hire Paul Guenther,
you gonna sell it on eBay?
Right, exactly.
You might as well get some money out of it.
But
It's the Bengals thing to do. I hope they don't.
The other guy that they were discussing that might get a look is Darren Simmons, a special teams coordinator, because their special teams have been very good over the years with him.
And I can buy that. I like Darren. I like his energy. Darren was here when I played, and he's a great guy. In fact, I talked with him in training camp. We got a chance to chat with him a little bit when we went up to watch practice. I like his energy. What that means as far as being a head coach in the NFL, I don't know. When was the last time a special teams coordinator became a head coach?
John
Harbaugh. You and I
go.
talked about that. We couldn't think of it. I looked it up last night.
It worked out well for a while, but I that would be if they're going to hire internally, that's the guy you want.
The problem with Darren Simmons is that he has been with the Bengals organization for 15 years under Marvin Lewis. So are you going to get essentially the same? I don't feel like he's going to.
Well, so is Paul Gunther.
He's going to.
Paul Gunther's been.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. But
Q, you're not a fan of Paul Gunther either?
Well, we're just thinking the whole city celebrated when they heard Marvin Lewis was going.
Yeah.
Why would we keep anybody with Marvin Lewis?
Well, all the contracts are up. Yeah. So you could have a major.
The only guy, in my opinion, that has a job next year is Paul Alexander, and a lot of people are angry about that. Even they're like, "Why Paul Alexander?"
I think he's a good coach.
He's a great offensive line coach, and a lot
They've
of people
given him nothing.
Yeah, look at the old line he has to piece together.
Right.
And to be fair, those draft picks come with his input. Like he did not have input on Fisher and O'Boy.
But he doesn't have final say.
But he doesn't have final say. And, Andre Smith coming back probably wasn't his first option.
No.
But
Andre Smith was supposed to be brought back as a guard.
Yeah. And
not tackle.
It's not – he's piecing together the pieces. But he's had very good offensive lines in the past. And he's had very good offensive lines with not necessarily great offensive linemen. I mean, he's made some very marginal players into good football players, i.e. Nate Livings. He's had free agent centers a lot. Kyle Cook was a free agent center, and he can develop players. A lot of people are angry with how the offensive line plays. I don't think that's a reflection of him. Here's my candidate, and this is selfish for me, but a guy who has interviewed at places before. My old line coach, Harold Goodwin, who's the offensive coordinator out in Arizona. He's interviewed for head coaching jobs before. He hasn't been able to break through, obviously, to get a head coaching job. But I think, knowing him personally, that he is someone that would energize a base. He's someone who's a relative unknown. You're going to be able to get him for cheap, but he's gotten the seal of approval from everybody he's worked with in the past. Obviously, and Arizona's down. Don't get me wrong, but
look what he has to work with at quarterback. Though. With Carson Palmer out, he's had Blaine Gabbert and Drew Stanton.
Again,
David Johnson, the running back.
I think he gets an opportunity, and he's going to get an interview likely if he wants an interview because of the Rooney Rule. But I think he's a qualified candidate, and again, it's something that the Browns will be able to afford him. I don't know if there's better candidates out there. I don't think you're going to go get like a guy, John Gruden, to come out of retirement. I think hiring Jeff Fisher is a mistake if they think
that's
Jeff
a mistake
Fisher,
for anyone.
Yeah, but Jeff Fisher says he wants to coach again, and again, we're talking about the Bengals, and the Browns are going to do what they want to do.
He's apparently one of the teams he's interested in is Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, because he thinks that job's going to be open. The Browns could do something silly and go hire Hugh Jackson if he gets fired. I mean,
you mentioned
with the Bengals front office, you never know what we're going to.
Well, I think if you mentioned John Gruden, if his brother gets canned in Washington, I think he's the guy the Bengals look at from the get-go, simply because you do not see very often Mike Brown go outside of a familiarity circle. He's going to hire from somebody, a pool from somebody he knows, which is why I was stunned to begin with when Jay Gruden was named offensive coordinator in Cincinnati a number of years ago under Marvin Lewis when Bratkowski was finally let go after that train wreck that he devolved into. So I think if Jay Gruden is let go in Washington, I think he goes to the top of the list, assuming that the Browns in Cleveland do not let Hugh Jackson go, which they continue to say they're not going to do.
I don't think they will either. But
the new GM up there has said ownership's already spoken on that, so it seems like Hugh Jackson's a guy. I said last week I don't think he makes it if they go 0-16, but they keep putting out the message that he will. So if that happens, I think Jay Gruden is the guy that goes to the top of the list because Mike Brown already knows him.
Mike Brown's a creature of habit.
Yes,
I agree with that.
Go with what you know.
Yeah.
And try and work on it from there.
And same with you. I don't know if you can hire a guy as a head coach that goes
1-31.
Yeah.
Listen, the Cincinnati fan base is despondent as is, and now you're going to bring him in.
It's a hard sell.
People know they know the name, and they know he's had some success here with the tools he has on offense. But that's not as fresh in their mind as potentially going 1-31 in 2 years in Cleveland.
But you have to remember, he's in Cleveland. So, I mean, seriously, who's the greatest, arguably, coach in NFL history?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
And he could not win in Cleveland.
He had a losing record in Cleveland. He had one winning season.
Yep.
36-44 overall. And I think so. If obviously Bob Kraft was able to say, okay, we're not. That's Cleveland. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
And so
it worked out well for them.
Right.
You never
I
know.
wonder if they get his Cleveland coaching record expunged when he goes into the Hall of Fame.
you don't think he'll wear a Browns jacket into the Hall of Fame?
I wouldn't be surprised with the stroke that Bob Kraft has around the NFL that they wouldn't be able to pull something like that. So, elsewhere in the AFC North, you had this past weekend a terrific game between New England and Pittsburgh, and about if Pittsburgh had won, they likely would have sewn up the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. New England winds up winning the game late on a very controversial call, catch, non-catch, a player going to the end zone. That is what it is. I go to the very next play and say, oh, arrogant Mike Tomlin got beat doing an arrogant play trying to call a fake spike, which, by the way, in somewhat of fairness, the route that the receiver ran, that was supposed to be Antonio Brown running that route.
Yeah,
of course,
that makes a difference.
Brown's out hurt, but nevertheless, you're on the 1 yard line. Why are you trying to fool anyone with a fake spike?
You already pulled it once this year.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
and I never like it. Run it to the middle. He's too close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to run that play, run a fade, run it out. I hate fades on the 1 yard line, but run something short. Or run the damn ball.
When Dan Marino did it the first time ever 25 years ago or whatever, like okay, that was pretty clever.
It was so clever that people thought it was illegal.
and you can and again they got
We've got the leading rusher in the NFL.
Run the ball.
The best he is the best running back in the NFL.
I love it because Mike Tomlin is the most arrogant coach in all of sport.
And you just sit and laugh.
Yes, because he got burned trying to trick the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Again, you should have learned your lesson. Funny. You should have learned your lesson from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. When you get it on the 1 yard line, you run the damn football. You don't try and get cute with a little slant into the middle.
You got Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, run the ball.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah, ask Pete Carroll how that worked out when he didn't give the ball to beast mode.
Yeah. Dumb. Just run the ball. Take your shot. And the last thing that can happen is throw an interception. And he did. And then game over. And then Ben Roethlisberger threw his offensive coordinator under the bus, saying, "Oh yeah, that was his call. I didn't want to do it. He threw. I
thought spiking it was the right thing to do." And
you have the ball in your hand. Make the play yourself. Yeah.
If you think it's two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he threw his offensive coordinator under the bus, stupid. Like that might have annoyed me more.
Big Ben in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We screwed up. It's not my fault.
Yeah. Hashtag Maction.
Yeah. Well.
But like, enough about the Steelers and their mistakes at the end of the game. This solidifies Tom Brady's the MVP, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
100%.
I think if they close it out and finish with the number 1 seed, which it looks like they will, I think yes.
Todd Gurley, I think, is the only one that is you can even talk about otherwise. And I don't think
it's too little, too late.
I agree.
Even though they just obliterated Seattle.
I think he's in a distant second.
Yeah, he is now. I mean, 11 points in 4 minutes to win the game against the number 1. What was the number 1 seed at the time?
Yeah.
Go on the road in Pittsburgh and score 11 points in 4 minutes.
If only Carson Wentz was here, we'd be able to really see who.
I know that's what's kind of frustrating. Yeah, Carson Wentz was going to run away with it, and now you almost have no other choice. Like we said, Todd Gurley is too little, too late, and of course he has a phenomenal game before that game happens, and then the lasting image you see is Tom Brady walking off the field in Pittsburgh during the night game. Todd Gurley had an amazing game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it gets overshadowed on the same day because Tom Brady goes out and beats the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And when you look at it, I think Todd Gurley is more valuable to his team than Tom Brady is.
100%. We've talked about that before.
Right.
Because you take Tom Brady off that team, and they probably have the same record or maybe 1 or 2 more losses.
Yeah.
You take Todd Gurley out of that field.
Todd Gurley is that offense. I mean, he's
if
he's not their leading receiver, he's close.
And you take Tom Brady off the Patriots, we've seen they still have Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's won 3 straight with the 49ers.
Yeah.
So
it made Matt Castle look good.
Yeah.
Right.
See? Right. It got Matt Castle $60 million from the Chiefs.
Couldn't start in college.
He should have probably had to give a cut of that to Brady. Sorry, he should have.
that contract. His paycheck was a little smaller.
Whoever it was that took Brady's knee out.
Yeah. And that got the rule changed, not the Kimo von Oelhoffen against Carson Palmer.
Kimo von slow crawling.
Yeah, exactly. Kimo von Cheatoff and whatever you want to go. Yeah.
Bill a cheat.
Cheater check.
So we talked about the Rams and what they did to Seattle this past week, which makes me even more thrilled there, LA, because I made my case last week for Russell Wilson as league MVP, and then they go and do this at home against the Rams.
And everybody was, because they lost the week before, and everybody was like, "Oh well, Seattle just wasn't playing at home." Well, then they come home and get throttled.
Yeah,
by the Rams. It wasn't even fair.
It was
149 total yards in the game.
Well, because it was a game. It was billed as, everybody kind of thought going in, Seattle wins the game. They pretty much will probably take control of the NFC West from there.
This is essentially the measuring stick for the NFC West. Who's going to run away with the division?
This might be. I think it's the most shocking result of the entire season
because of the score. Yeah. I mean, you look at the way the game happened. I don't think the Rams winning is necessarily the surprise. It's
Correct.
How they won.
Yeah,
it wasn't even fair. It was 34-0 at halftime, 40-0 before Seattle even got a point.
Sure.
And 150 total yards, 149 total yards offense for Seattle. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Well, Todd Gurley had more rushing yards than they had total yards.
Yeah. And he stopped playing midway through the third quarter.
Right.
I mean, he was done just after halftime. It was like a high school score running up the high school score and pull out your starters.
I think they had the running clock going.
Q, you're used to that.
Oh yeah, sure. How many running clocks did we get this year?
One.
Like against us?
Oh, against us? Just one.
Anderson.
There's only one.
I mean, we saw one against West High. We got that one.
Yeah.
So two.
But, okay.
I saw a lot more of the other years.
But to see it virtually happen in the NFL
is crazy.
Especially given, like I said, Seattle is probably the toughest place to play in the NFL.
Or so it seemed.
Given their fan base and the fact that Paul Allen brought NASA in to design the stadium to make it even louder. They talked about the Beast Quake a number of years ago when that play literally registered on the Richter scale. So,
it was, when Todd Gurley took a 3rd and 20 to the house, that game was over. It didn't matter after that.
Does that solidify Sean McVay as coach of the year?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to.
Well, I mean, you see what happens when you don't have an offensive line. Russell Wilson's just running around back there hoping for the best. They cannot protect him. They invested no money in that offensive line.
Pete Carroll has
leave it to the linemen to point that out.
Hey, I'm just saying.
They're paying for it.
Pete Carroll hasn't contacted you to forego your college playing days, has
he? He could use anybody right now.
I'd take the call.
You consider that one?
I'd consider it.
You maybe reopen your recruitment for that one?
I definitely consider that one.
Commitment.
Well, okay, NFL. Okay. So elsewhere in the NFL, a Carolina Panthers linebacker, Thomas Davis, a blindside hit on a receiver, Devontae Adams, who's already had concussion issues this season, on an interception return, suspended 2 games, reduced down to 1. I think he got more of a suspension because of the Juju Smith-Schuster.
And they're claiming it's history. They're claiming he has history. But again, we go back to this is in the heat of the play.
Yeah,
ends up with the same suspension as Gronkowski does for a blatant.
And by the way, real quickly here, Juju Smith-Schuster, you're a turd for mocking for the celebration, mocking Vontaze Burfict being concussed and missing it. If there wasn't an injury to Vontaze, okay, fine. But the fact that he was concussed and missed playing time, you're a turd.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Didn't he have some half-hearted apology?
Yes, he did. I didn't mean to hurt him.
Real sorry. Huh?
I don't play like that. I didn't mean to hurt him. And it's like
now I'm going to make fun of him.
You can't tell me that's not a culture thing in Pittsburgh. And he's quickly got himself involved in it, and that comes straight from Mike Tomlin.
We've talked about that before.
I digress. Go ahead, officer.
Just back to the Thomas Davis thing.
Sure.
I watched that over and over and over from as many angles as I could find. I don't have a problem with it. I mean.
Again, if
that was just a good football play. That's what you're supposed to do.
And if Adams pops right back up, no problem.
Right.
And if Adams stands up, it's no big deal. But because he's hurt, and it becomes a 2-game suspension.
And you know when your team throws an interception, you got to get your head on a swivel.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's going to happen.
It happened to me in college. It happened all the time.
Right.
You have to look out for your own best interest at that point. Right. And again, we talked about it before. 5 years ago, that's a hit that's on every highlight reel.
Right.
And now that's a hit that gets you suspended.
And maybe that's just the way I think, but I have no problem with that play.
No.
On the other side there, Q, I'll pose this to you. If you're in that position, if you're in Thomas Davis's position on that play, are you going for that hit?
I'm going to hit him. I mean,
you're going for a hit like that?
That's just the mindset you have.
Yeah. Why are you out there on the football field, especially at the NFL level? If you aren't looking for a hit like that, why are you on the field? Right. If you're going to shy away from contact like that, and again, it's a blind side hit, but it's not a dirty hit. It's just something that happens all the time in football.
I mean, I've given those hits. I've gotten those hits.
Yeah,
they're not fun hits to get, but they're fun to give.
Yeah.
Did you have an issue with the guy who gave you the hit afterwards on the play? Like, you want to go like fight him or anything like that?
No, you just get up and you're like, man, that's a good hit.
Yeah,
right.
And you just run the sideline.
Damn,
got me.
Yeah,
he got me.
Yeah,
that's football.
I got taken out by a Toledo Rocket DB one time chasing out an interception. I had no idea the guy.
You got taken out by a DB.
Oh yeah, I left his feet.
Mine was at least a linebacker. Okay.
No,
yes.
Mine was at least a linebacker.
Hey, no wonder why you spent your whole career on the training table.
What year was this, Adam?
What's that?
What year was this?
2006.
No, it was 2000. It was my redshirt freshman year. I was chasing the interception down the sideline. I was wearing my old Newman gloves. I remember I stood up and my gloves were all ripped to shit where I went to go catch myself. He lit me up. I had no idea he was
DB.
coming.
All right, Jason. That's we got to find this. We got
our
clip.
Yeah,
it's got to be out there.
It's got to be.
Anybody, if you can find that footage, Facebook. I beg you.
I just twittered the CMU video guys to see if they have anything left from the dark ages or if Brian Kelly destroyed all the film from when I was there. He might have.
The biggest thing about this hit, it really just shows that the NFL doesn't have any way to regulate itself, to have any sort of, well, this hit gets this game, this hit gets this suspension. It's out there just rolling dice and hoping for the best. Let's see how this one works.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before. It's when you leave one guy in charge of discipline, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. There's no way to regulate. You don't know if the hit's going to get 2-game suspension, 1-game suspension, no suspension, and it's all based on personal preference. Is it a guy who has a history like a Vontaze Burfict who gets, suspended for illegal hits, or is it a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster who gets a game just
who clearly headhunted somebody, taunted him,
or Gronk only gets one game because he's the face of the league at the tight end position. It's silly and it's annoying, and the NFL doesn't care about player safety; they just care about making money, so it doesn't matter.
One more bit of news before we get to the Fumblegate Fatty Kicker of the week, and it's talking about a guy who we brought up in a previous episode a couple of months ago, Marquise Goodwin, the receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. We mentioned him a while back in a previous episode, having scored a touchdown the day that he lost his newborn son. He was born early. There were complications. His son unfortunately passed away on the day of birth. He comes back and plays that day and scores a touchdown for him. And just an unbelievable human this guy is. Well, we're bringing it up again for a similar reason.
Life didn't get any easier for him this week.
Marquise Goodwin lost his father this past week before their game, which they won against their third win in a row for the 49ers. Instead of taking the time off, which I'm sure the organization, again, would have said, dude, go do you. Take your time. He goes and plays 10 catches, 114 yards. Again, how awesome is this dude?
It's amazing. I mean, he lost an infant son, due to complications, premature infant son, and then loses his father in the same season, which you thought you were having a bad year. That's a terrible year in and of itself. But just to go out there and do what he did those 2 weeks, and it's awesome. It's amazing, and I know it means something to him. I know how much it means to him. I went and played a game after I lost my grandfather, and how much it meant to me to be able to play in that game, and how difficult it was just dealing with the emotion of it. And now these two huge events in his life, dealing with the emotions of going out there and playing. And he had 2 monster games. Again, 10 catches for 114 yards and a win. Looks like San Francisco's actually on the right track, and obviously it's something he wants to be a part of because he could take that time off if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And he's out there and he's playing the game that he loves. And it's probably part of a release for him, just getting his mind off of it. But he wants to be there for his teammates. His teammates want to be there to support him too, which is awesome.
Think about the rest of the guys in the locker room. If there was anybody that maybe wasn't putting 100%, or just wanted to go on injured reserve because it was maybe questionable. You cannot. No.
Tell you, hand me that week. Guess what? you better be on the field.
Right.
If you can't play with a tight hammy and you see what this guy's going out there and doing, it's unbelievable. And again, prayers to him and his family because it's something that nobody wants to deal with losses like that. It's amazing that he can go out there and do what he does. It's pretty awesome.
So condolences to the Goodwin family once again. We hate saying that, but life happens, and unfortunately, this happened again for Marquise. But he's been able to persevere through it and then some. So congratulations to him on another outstanding effort, and I'm sure a tremendous way to honor the passing of his father. We'll close out the show now, as we like to do on occasion, and Mr. Adam Keefe will present his Fumblegate Fight 8 Kicker of the Week. Before we get to that, since we have Q on here now, Keefe was a coach of yours this past season in high school. Your thoughts on kickers? Don't let him influence you because he's sitting next to you.
Sometimes kickers.
Sometimes.
He likes his teammates.
To be fair, our kicker Harry Sand, he's a good kicker. He's a good kid. He
Two-time all-conference kicker.
Yeah.
Never really had a bad kicker.
Yeah,
surprisingly enough,
it's nice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And at the high school
Just
level,
wait.
it's difficult to find a good kicker and a reliable kicker, and Harry was, and so it's hard, especially when that's his only experience with kickers thus far. Now again, in college, this may change your mindset because we all know the farther you go, the more
we got
kickers.
another kicker.
Or in the pros where one costs you like $20,000.
Or
Shane.
another guy in your recruiting class is a kicker out of South Carolina, and his name is Chance Poore.
Chance
Poore. Chance Poore.
Cool guy though. It's a cool guy.
I bet he is, but he might get featured on.
I hope he is.
If he gets featured on the Kicker of the Week, it might be kind of fun. Did we feature Blewett? Was Blewett on the Kicker of the Week at all, or no?
I don't think so.
No, that's a good kicker name too. But
I saw independent of that. As far as
Chance Poore.
as far as another name goes, I saw a kid who was a linebacker signed to go to Arkansas. His name is Bumper Pool.
that has to be a name. Tell me that's a name.
That's a good name.
That's what the little.
That's not a nickname.
Like
his parents.
Well, if you check on Kentucky football Twitter, they put up a little video with Q in uniform saying here's his stats, name, and all that kind of stuff, and that's what they put as his name on there. I think his Twitter is like @BumperPool10. So I mean, but still, a Chance Poore. It just you could almost make it if he starts, and hopefully he doesn't cost you any kicks and wins in the SEC.
I've got all the faith in the world in him.
Okay,
now,
so
if
he
he
moves
the one
on,
you were telling us about before we went on the air here that you said he's a rather large individual.
Yeah,
he's a big kicker.
He's 6'4". He's taller than me. He's ripped, and looks like he can run faster than some wide receivers.
Maybe he's for the brand. Is he for the brand?
For the brand.
Yeah,
for the brand.
He was telling us he might even run a faster 40 time than you did, Keith.
Everybody runs a faster
40 time than you.
Everybody runs.
What was your 40 time?
What did I get? Like 5.5.
Yeah, it's still faster. Man.
Yeah.
Still pretty slow.
Yours
Five,
wasn't
6'4".
Didn't yours take like 2 digits?
No, not that slow.
about as close as you're gonna get to 2 digits.
Slowest tackle to still get drafted. So I didn't worry about that.
Slowest tackle, least famous Bengal. Let's keep going with it.
Hey, you got some serious accolades.
Absolutely. Check my Wikipedia. It's amazing.
Right.
Tiny hands. Big
Tiny
heart.
hands. You've been 7'7" before in your Wikipedia.
Can we get a hand check here?
His are probably bigger than mine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, here they are.
I got some big hands.
Yeah,
And you're 4 inches taller than Q is.
Yeah,
So
well,
you're
I
4
didn't really have
inches.
little hands.
You're like 4 inches taller.
I never looked.
no, they're tiny.
You do got little hands.
I got big feet though.
You're 4 inches taller, and you're 4 inches taller and twice his age, and his hands are bigger.
Well, your hands stop growing eventually. It's not like my hands should be growing. Like just so happens mine stopped when I was 12.
I was gonna say I think yours stopped before the average person. Yeah.
Mine stopped growing before puberty. So whatever. Me and the president, tiny hands. Jesus, butt heads.
Yeah,
and with that,
I was gonna say you're not his coach anymore. So it's Fritz open season on you now.
I really didn't realize you had small hands. like they're small hands.
Yeah, it's for real.
You're too big to have small hands.
You should read the Wikipedia. It's on there.
There's if you look at one of his deleted or edited Wikipedia, you can still go back and look at them. I mean, it says the only thing smaller than his hands is his penis.
All right.
I don't know who put that in there or where that came from.
Let's save it for the after show. Let's get through the kicker of the week.
Adam Keith,
We'll do the after
your
show.
Fumblegate Fatty kicker of the week.
Well, again, unfortunately, the college kickers, they missed them, but nobody made a difference in a game in the bowl games this week. So, unfortunately.
Thanks for doing your job, you jerks.
Yeah, bums. By the way, shout out to the FCS National Championship this week. James Madison and North Dakota State. We both picked.
We all called that.
We all picked that for the matchup, so that should be a good one on Saturday. But anyway, Tampa Bay's Patrick Murray missed the game-tying field goal, 54 yards, which is a heck of a field goal, but it is within his career long. His career long is 55. They end up losing the game to the Falcons. He missed a potential game tire. More importantly, Jameis Winston loses, which when Jameis
He didn't get to eat that W.
Yeah, when he loses, America wins because punch face. Jameis Winston. Gosh, can't stand looking at that guy. Just makes me want to punch him in the face.
QD like Jameis Winston, or is he a punch face?
No.
Like when you see him, don't you just want to punch him in the face? Like the way he smiles. Him and Cam Newton. Like if him and Cam Newton punched each other at the same time and knocked each other out, that would be like my ideal scenario. I can't stand those guys.
I don't have anything with Jameis.
He's so ugly. He is just an ugly human being.
Are you sure you've looked in the mirror?
I'm not a good-looking guy either.
I'm just saying.
I get it. I'm an ugly white dude, but he's not a good-looking dude, man.
Hey, for not being good looking, he's at least cashing his checks.
Good for him.
He is.
He's still a bum. Anyway, so this week's winner of the Fumblegate Fatty Kicker of the Week is Raiders' Giorgio Tavecchio. He missed a 39-yarder as time expired in the first half. 39 yards. Didn't get blocked. He just missed it. And why is this significant? The weight it carries is what makes it even more fun. They end up losing by 3. It was at the end of the first half, but they missing that field goal. They get the ball first. They end up going down and score. Could have been a lot closer game than it was, but they still only lose by 3. And now they're out of playoff contention. They got to win their final 2 and hope for a whole bunch of scenarios. Essentially, it took them out of the playoffs. Because the scenarios that need to happen for them to make the playoffs are not very likely. So,
ties, losses.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, the Patriots got to lose out, and the Browns got to win a game, and it's just not.
So they're eliminated.
Yeah, they pretty much eliminated themselves from the playoffs because they can't make a 39-yarder right before halftime. So for that, Giorgio Tavecchio, you're this week's winner of the Fumblegate Fatty Kicker of the Week. Look for your
see the trophy right here.
There's your trophy.
Yeah, we have the trophy. We have it up every week on Facebook Live. Of course, we put it out on the Facebook and Twitter pages before up close picture of it. Q, you've got to see the trophy in person for the first time. It's a piece of work, isn't it?
It's
glorious.
Oh my god!
Don't you want to win that? No, you don't want to win that. But we award it every week to another kicker.
Hopefully, maybe sometime down the road when he's gone to the NFL, we could maybe name this after Chance Poor.
Yeah, we can make it.
I don't know if Chance wants that name.
Yeah,
well, like I said, it's after he's in the NFL, so he doesn't cost you any wins while you're wearing blue and white.
He'll never win it though. Like I kind of want to name it. I kind of want to name it after somebody. Like we should name it after Paulie Furcano or something.
Oh yeah.
Like it should be the Paulie Furcano Memorial Kicker Trophy.
Kind of memorial kicker trophy.
Or maybe Roberto Aguayo. It could be the Roberto Aguayo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That
is a
maybe
very...
we should come up with a name.
Zane Gonzalez, Brown's current kicker.
Yeah, he's working on it. How bad is that?
He's kicking something like 61% or something.
You're trying to replace him with Roberto Aguayo. How bad is that? Ooh.
With that, we're going to wrap it up here on the podcast version of the Fumblegate podcast. Quintin, we want to thank you very much for coming on here with us this week. Congratulations with the signing this week, and we would love to have you back on at some point, of course, and we want to wish you the best of luck down in Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good luck. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Get some game action early on and see if you can push some of those vets out of the way.
Hopefully we'll be down there September 1st to watch it. You know, Chippewas are going to win, but
I'll be there. They're not, but
see,
you can hope though.
Yeah, you give it up, Keith. Quit trying to hawk tickets off the guy. That's what
we're getting from the Chippewas. We're going to go down and watch.
Yeah, just you'll be the only one wearing maroon and
gold.
Ugly yellow.
Is that what they call it?
It's gold.
Apparently, yeah.
Gold.
Okay, so fair enough. So, Big Blue Nation fans, you want to follow Q on Twitter? Q, your Twitter handle?
Q_Will42.
All right. Here, Big Blue Nation, follow him on the Twitter. He's got quite a few followers, way more than we do.
Way more.
Unfortunately so.
So Q's followers follow us. I'm at Fumblegate Fatty.
FGP Cop.
And follow the show at Fumblegate. Use the hashtag Fumblegate. FumblegatePodcast@gmail.com if you're interested in sponsoring opportunities for the show, or if you would like us, if you're in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, to come to your location to record the podcast. That'll wrap it up for this week, and we will see you once again one more time next week here on the Fumblegate Podcast.
Fire up salsa.
Lukewarm chips.
Nah, taking down the Wyoming Cowboys.
Ya
Go
bums.
Chips.
Ya bums.
Go Chips.
And with that, folks, welcome into the Facebook Live post show. Thanks for coming on again, Q, by the way.
Hey, I like a good podcast.
I want to.
That's a good suggestion. Somebody suggested we name the trophy after Ray Finkel.
I like that.
That's not a bad
That's
option.
not a bad idea. I like
It's not a bad
I
option.
want them to see the
You hold that up. Put that up to the
I don't know
camera.
if I'm here, I got it on my phone here.
You're good. You're good.
You guys.
There it is. They can see the text. Just work slow. There it is.
I mean, this is a wonderful trophy.
It really is.
It's so good.
That's great. I mean, I got that online, and to tell you the craftsmanship of this, folks, and how much went into this. Shipping cost me more than the actual trophy did.
I can take out my pillow, so I don't have to. Since I'm sitting next to you, giants, I can look a little short now that we're.
Yeah.
I like the Ray Finkel suggestion. I like that.
I do.
That's not bad.
The Finkel Einhorn.
It doesn't upgrade on the phone or on the computer very fast.
Well, that's all right.
That's all right.
We do want to thank everyone for tuning in here. I'll be enjoyed getting a little bit of the insight of the recruiting nowadays. Like I said, Keith, you didn't deal with the social media stuff.
That was my neighbor Jeff that threw out the Ray Finkel suggestion.
Oh, good on you, Jeff.
He also
Shout out Jeff.
During the show. He was making a case in the comments section for Case Keenum for an MVP. So
Playing pretty well.
So
Well that he didn't even have to finish the game this past week against the Bengals.
At least you got to see Teddy Bridgewater in there.
Yeah, and
good to
throw a
see.
pick on his first play.
Hey,
Which
he
is how the
still
Bengals
went in
scored.
there. Still went in there.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to see him back after a gross injury.
Yeah, back on the field at all. At this point, being back on the field is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty disgusting in that regard. Let's see, December 29th. That's that bowl game, 4:30. That's a random time. That's always weird. Always weird how they have just 12, 3:37. I mean, you've got like 68 different networks you could put these things on, but we still have to sort them out there.
UK is going to find a way to be on SEC Network.
Network or Network Plus.
Oh, exactly.
Where no one can
watch the game.
No one can watch it. You have to go to like a restaurant or something to be able to tune in. Have you gotten the full tour of Lexington?
Not of the whole city.
Just
itself.
campus?
Just campus. Well, when I went down there on my official, I got to see a little bit farther around town. Got to go downtown and stuff like that.
Okay.
Our hotel is downtown.
If you haven't figured out already, traffic sucks.
Nah.
Down there, the traffic lights are like every 50 feet, and they always turn red.
Well, and that there's like extra lanes every half the time. There are like 3 extra lanes there.
Yeah. You'll hate driving on Nicholasville Road, I can tell you that. Which is out near the exit of the stadium on South Campus. Mm-hmm. You will hate that in a hurry because like I said, it's always jam-packed. They change which way the lanes go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's just lights all over the place there. So hopefully you won't run into too much of that there.
I'll try my best.
Have you hit Tallyho's yet?
Who?
No, you haven't. So it's a little restaurant down right just off of North Campus called Tallyho. It's a place a lot of people go at like 2 and 3 in the morning to make themselves okay to drive home. Like burgers, like kind of greasy type of food,
Solid.
but it's kind of a institution down there.
I'm a cookout fan, not even gonna lie. Love me a cookout. Those milkshakes, it's like they're McDonald's.
Well, there you go.
I'm gonna be there a lot.
Well, that's all right. We'll see.
Does your meal plan work off campus down there or no?
Some of the places down there.
That's awesome.
I mean, at the same time,
it's
I'm not gonna
limited.
eat there much.
It's limited as far as what they allow off campus.
Yeah,
but yeah, still.
I mean, you're gonna eat 3 meals a day at the facility, so how much off-campus food you're gonna get?
Right. You don't know your housing situation.
He shouldn't be eating any extra meals.
Are you gonna be on like right near the facilities on South Campus?
Well, you're gonna be about as close as any of the dorms are to this facility, but they show me the dorm. I don't ever remember the name though. Somewhere down.
Won't
there.
be in the Blinding Towers.
I don't know.
Because they're talking. You know what I'm talking about, the two towers.
Oh, the huge ones?
Yeah,
aren't they tearing those down?
They are, yeah. They're going to tear those down.
Aren't those the only old dorms left?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I stayed, when I was down there, of course, I went there from 07 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
When I stayed there, I stayed in one that was so old that they couldn't have air conditioning because the wiring couldn't handle it. And they claimed at the time that they couldn't tear it down because it was registered as an historical building. It was a big brick box. And then a year after I graduate, they announced plans to tear it down.
I imagine that.
Yeah. So
mine's like an apartment. Kind of excited.
That's how a lot of them are setting them up now,
Yeah.
as opposed to the traditional dorm setup.
Yeah. Most schools are still. I think most of the schools I went to is kind of 60-40, kind of still in the old school. Everyone's right next to each other.
They're updating everything down there.
It's great.
Which probably helps a lot. Did you get to check out the library?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That thing's crazy.
Yeah. The library down there is massive.
It's like the Death Star. Like that's how it's shaped. It's just shaped like the Death Star.
Yeah, it really is. It is humongous. They don't know if they gave you the spiel on the tour, but when I was on my campus visit there before I decided to go down there, they were saying like, oh, there's these urban myths that like the library is so big that it's actually sinking into the ground, which is not true. But if you ever see it down there, officer, if you ever go to Lexington, you see it. It is
oh my god
monstrous. Yeah. This library. There's so many places to sit and work in there too quietly, which is very nice.
Like 8 floors.
Maybe.
Like it might be more than that.
Yeah, if we go down there in next September for that Kentucky Central Michigan game, the library's not too far from the stadium, so you can easily walk to it. We'll have to check that out there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here on Facebook. I know Q's got to get home. He's got finals week.
Yeah, man, finals. You're gonna get some studying done.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
finals.
I've already signed. I'm going to college.
Don't tell mom that.
Don't tell mom what.
Don't tell mom that's my attitude.
Don't tell mom what.
What?
I don't. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What? She. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's hope mom.
You got what?
I hope
your GPA is like 4.3, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're good.
I know, but don't tell my mom that.
Well, and obviously, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it's very much sarcastic.
Obviously, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So.
What was your ACT score?
I got a 32.
And that's out of 36.
Damn.
Right?
Damn.
Well, we talked to Coach Keith. His ACT was 36 questions per section. Ours is like 60. And he's like, well, I got 36 on math. Well, you only had 36 questions. Well, that's not that hard. When you add another 24 and you get 10 extra minutes for 24 more questions.
That's even better. You got a higher score than he did, and you have twice as many questions to do.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
like I said, you're doing all right if the other two finalists were Duke and Boston College, because those are really smart schools.
No, Mom,
both of them are.
Mom's not gonna trust me. She would not let me let anything.
No, of course, and you're not going to do that anyway.
Right?
Yeah,
you're not going to do that anyway.
I wouldn't. They'd be upset at me at UK if I did that anyway.
Yeah, you'd have a lot of people to deal with.
Yeah.
At that time. So, yeah, we're going to close it out here on Facebook once again. Thanks to Quintin Wilson,
and
UK signee.
Real quick,
Sure.
Just a tease for next week.
Yeah,
it's not 100% yet, so I didn't want to say it during the podcast portion, but we had the player this week, and next week we're looking to have a college coach on here.
Yeah,
where we can have it from the other perspective.
Yeah, a Division I coach, assistant coach might possibly be a guest next week here on Fumblegate, so we can get the other side of the recruiting.
Yeah, we're working on the logistics, but it should happen.
So stay tuned for that. Once again, Officer Jason Fatty had to walk out because the kids came down and wanted to be involved with it. And then Quintin Wilson, he's off to the University of Kentucky, and we'll see you next week here on Fumblegate.